on my mind.
Hello and welcome to episode 50 of the award-winning combat sports podcast, The Boxing Show, with me, your host, Rob Tebbup. As always, let's remind everybody to please like, comment and subscribe. Turn your notifications on, for more boxing content. Now that's out of the way, I'm joined by the usual twosome of Mr. Barry Jones and Mr. Andy Clark. As we look ahead to this weekend, we finally made it. Sort of, to Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney, guys.
I'm kind of surprised.
Well. Where do we start with this one, Barry?
It's just been madness, haven't it? Absolute madness. The way that Haney, like, the way he behaves, like... I mean, well, listen, the fight haven't happened yet. I know you always say... I'll believe it when I see him walk in the ring. This is literally one of those. I mean, and I won't believe it till literally the bell goes ding, and even I won't be quite sure he's not going to walk out. We've seen that before, haven't we? But I mean, it's been madness, absolute madness. Like, it's just crazy. But it's a good fight. I mean, it's a good fight with a clear winner, I think, on paper. But it's still like has a feel of a big fight for me. So like a huge fight. I know it's still got the interest outside of boxing because Ryan Garcia is whatever he is, YouTube. Is he a YouTuber? He's got a massive
At the minute, he's a few things, man.
Yeah, I know, yeah. I should be sober. No, I'm joking. But like, it's just been madness, hasn't it? All the things you see on social, and I don't like reading too much social media stuff, but the things so if I know about it, it's crazy. I take no notice of it at all. But like, he's been kidnapped one week, and then he's with adult actresses and everywhere, and drunk all the time, it seems like, or pretending he's drunk. I don't know, when he should be training against a guy who's hardest fight. Arguably his hardest fight. Stylistically, I think this is a hard fight for him because he's a guy who's got reach and height over him. No, haven't he? For maybe not height, but reach certainly. Where Gervonta Davis was a bigger puncher, but a guy who maybe could have had a bit of luck from distance with him until he jumps in and knocks you out. But you know what I mean? But this one, I can't see how he gets close. It's a really hard night for him. So I think he'd be doing everything he can to get it right. But it seems like he's doing everything he can to get it wrong.
Anyway, Andy, I'm going to come to you. Usually kind of start these ones with an excitement level check. What's your excitement level for this one? I mean, it feels like we're, like Barry just said there, like, it's fight week. It still doesn't feel real. And it does, like, we say this about certain fights and it's kind of always tongue in cheek, but this doesn't really feel tongue in cheek, does it? This?
No, it's really strange. I just don't know. I didn't really think it would happen because of the way that he was behaving from a good few weeks out, Garcia. I felt like it's always difficult for someone involved in a fight to pull a fight because it's just not in their interests to do it because there's so much invested in it unless they absolutely have to. And at no point, I guess, has he teetered over that borderline whereby everybody agrees that this just can't happen. But does that borderline in boxing even really exist? You could argue that it doesn't. So I found the whole thing fairly confusing, but we are going to get a fight at the weekend unless something crazy happens during the week, and you couldn't rule that out. As for what we'll see when he gets in there, I find myself now really pulling for Garcia, not necessarily to win, but just to come out of this whole experience in some kind of a positive manner, because I don't really see how he can win the fight. But I just feel like the whole thing, if it goes badly wrong in the ring for him, could be really, really bad. And you don't ever want to see that. So I'm just hoping that he can get his head together that maybe all of this stuff he's been doing has been to a degree over the top, although it's difficult for me to believe that it could possibly all have been a facade, that he can get it together on the night and get through it basically without it being too damaging. But I'm not super confident about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a weird footing to start off a big preview for a big fight, you know. It's and we
I can't really remember. Can you two?
No.
I can't remember a situation like this going into a big fight week where I'm just sort of a bit worried about it, to be honest. Even though I don't know him at all.
It could be what you said. It could be a total just a play.
Wow, if it
it
is.
can't be.
I mean, that would be incredible work.
The thing is, remember, I don't think it is, but remember, it's just like with Mayweather. It's slightly different, but Mayweather would he'd be in strip clubs till 5 o'clock in the morning, he'd be eating burgers at 2 o'clock in the morning in strip clubs because he'd still be in there. And the life, he would never see him training. He'd always do something, and in reality, all he was doing was training. So, and he sold his career. His pay-per-view was all about his life outside the ring, not his because really he was a fantastic, one of the greatest to ever do it, Floyd Mayweather. But as a sellable factor outside of the boxing fraternity, his fights weren't that. So he sold this persona of who he was, this playboy character who can just do what he wants and still be the best on the planet. And everyone to make your pay-per-view star, the outside fraction outside of the sport, you need that audience, and he got that audience involved by what he was doing outside the ring. So maybe they see that. We got to go, and now where we are nowadays, you got to go higher, a bigger level. You got to go bigger than that. You got to go crazy than that. You got to go like should be sectioned off almost. You got to go, and maybe he's doing something like that. But the difference is he doesn't have maybe the ability. That's a lot wasting. If he is doing that, you're wasting a lot of energy and time and shit messing around, coming up with all this crap. Where Mayweather could afford to do that and still train hard because Mayweather was just talented, so he could put his mind in 3 or 4 places because he has a gift from God, his ability. Ryan Garcia is a good fighter and a world-class fighter, and he has world-class power and he has world-class speed, but he's not Floyd Mayweather.
Is he a world-class fighter?
Well, I think his power and his speed would maybe say probably he could, on his night, if he hits you, he could hurt you. So I think that you have to put him there. But yeah, there's an argument. Show me who. Yeah, but at some point, like. Luke Campbell was a world-class fighter.
Yeah.
And he dealt with him. And I don't say that was a long time ago now, to be fair, but I think so, So you have to say he is, but around his weight, he doesn't make the top of any list there. Nowhere near the top of any list because it's a weight division steeped in talent. So, this is another fight of his life. He has to be at his very best, and all this messing around, wasting your energy and you're focusing your mind somewhere else, trying to wind someone up. Devin Haney won't give a shit about this. He'll just be his way training. He'll be doing he's a consummate professional. He'll be doing his job to sell the fight. But he's in the gym. He's working, and that's why he's so disciplined when he's in the ring, because he does it so often. He does so much of it in the gym every day. That boring shit repetitiveness you have to do. So when he gets in the ring, he can win a fight on the jab because he knows his jab, where it is, how to throw it, when to do it, when he needs. He can adjust the distance because he just does that every time in the gym, all the time. Repetitive. But Garcia is trying things out on his own. I think he's a guy who's, when you're young and you're given too much money and too much fame, which I know nothing about, except for being young, you can think you're the bee's knees and like you're the boss of your own career. But the fact, I think he thinks, and we saw that in his last fight when he was doing that shoulder roll crap, like in a fight where he didn't know how to do it and he looked awful and he thought it was good. And I'm sure the guy who trains him, in Derek James, doesn't instill that into him, but he's just doing what he wants to do. There's a worry there that he's, because you're famous and rich, that you're like, well, I'm famous and rich, so I know what's right for me. Where in boxing, your trainer has to be your god. Your trainer has to be in charge. It has to be. That has to be that way. It doesn't work that other way. You get exceptional fighters like De La Hoya who could switch trainers, but even at that, but when in the gym, their trainer was in charge of them. I'm sure that happens. If that doesn't happen, I don't really know a successful partnership than it's been any other way. Your trainer will have if he's dictating everything. Have I gone off on a tangent?
No. Yeah, it's fine. But if there's any fight to go off on a tangent on, it's this one.
But if he's dictating everything, that the narrative of the fight and the narrative of how he trains, like it's going to end really bad for him. I don't just mean get beat. It's going to end really bad for him. Like another, I mean, it might be a worse knockout. He's not in against a bigger puncher than Gervonta Davis, but he's in with the guy who can control the distance better with the jab. And also, as we saw against Regis Prograis, he was the puncher in that fight, by the way. Let's not forget that. Against the puncher, he ended up being the puncher in that fight. Haney's almost the full package, almost now, I think. He has intelligence, he has experience, he travelled around the world and beat everyone. You know what I mean? He's massive for the weight. He made lightweight. He makes super lightweight. Well, we saw him in Saudi, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we sat close to each other, weren't we? Though we didn't speak, it was weird. But
he nicked our donuts.
Not surprised, mate. Size of him.
No, he wouldn't nick mine.
He needs those donuts, mate.
He didn't nick them. He asked, and we gave him one. But he was in shape.
Where'd you get donuts from?
I can't remember. I think
that thing.
Stay on task.
This was the card just before Christmas. But yeah, but now he's at super lightweight. You feel like he's even better and more dangerous. I mean, he was supposedly 165 in the ring on the night against Prograis, and you could absolutely believe it.
Fucking backs like that.
Absolutely huge.
It's something that everybody's always said, and kind of, it's one of those things that people inevitably say. You know, I remember when he boxed Jojo Diaz, didn't look great. He said the weight was very, very difficult for him. And we heard for a long time that, you know, when he moves up to 140, he'll have this. Or we kind of like looked at, if he goes up to 140, he might get a bit more snap in his shots. And it did look like that, didn't it, against Regis Prograis? Really just back to the Ryan Garcia stuff. And we are going to try and make this more boxing focused. But I mean,
the mental aspect of it is
but
big,
I mean,
though,
it's clearly the biggest talking point in the fight, isn't it? So, you know, as people may want us to focus on the fight and just the fight, that's not how we do things.
And we've got two people there who are complete polar opposites too, because I mean, one of the most difficult things about any athletic career is that your physical peak comes when you're young, and you have to try and kind of mature emotionally as fast as you can to get the longest overlap between those two things that you can get. And Haney is one of these people who, old cliche, has always seemed to have an old head on young shoulders. And him and his dad are a great team, and they've had a plan, and they've been very switched on from the beginning. So he is mentally as mature and as rock solid as I think I've maybe ever seen in an athlete his age in any sport, to be honest.
Do you know why though? I think because he turned pro young, and he did it like small hub. He went to Mexico.
He went to Mexico.
So he wanted no money. No one gives a shit about him. So he just got to learn his trade. But he had to learn fight. So you got that realization of what it's like. You know, you some people turn pro in the Olympics and they don't ever go on small bills.
And the interesting thing is they chose that because he could have gone a different way, couldn't he? He could have stayed amateur, and pretty quickly people were clamouring for a signature, and they didn't sign with anyone for a long time.
Or he could have just turned pro in the US. Like he didn't have to go to Mexico and put himself in an uncomfortable position to do that.
No, you're right, but it's given that understanding, realization, and grounding. So you're always, I know where you come from in your life, but then if you win an Olympic medal, you turn pro with a massive check straight away. So like that life that you grew up from, it disappears straight away. When most like boxers who make it, like say Ricky Hatton for instance, I don't want to mention the other guy from Wales, but Ricky Hatton, he come from a working class, he had to work his way up, and then he earned loads of money, but in stages, like Haney has. Not like turn pro and you get the massive check straight away like Lennox Lewis must have, or Anthony Joshua. His life story is fantastic, isn't it? But literally, once he won the Olympic gold medal, that life disappeared. Yeah, that life was never there anymore because he's a rich man straight away, isn't he?
Yeah,
straight away. Where others have to work their way through it. So like, so you've always got that grounding. He knows like how tough it has been for him. So he's learned to trade the proper way, which is a thing that doesn't happen anymore. So that's why he's always, dedicated, and he sees the pitfalls, and he's been around other people around him failing. Where maybe Ryan Garcia in the world, even though he's been a boxing all his life, but he's been involved in another world where he's probably only ever around people who are only succeeding. So, which is a good thing. You want to be around successful people to help you better. But I mean, you never believe anything's wrong. You never see what it's like down there. You don't know what the pitfalls are like. So he's been around the ground grassroots. So that gives him a maturity quicker straight away. You understand, I appreciate this. You appreciate every step up. So when you get there, you want to make the most of it, and you're mature That's the whole thing.
That's it. That overlap is key, isn't it? You hear so many athletes, and it's completely understandable, say, you know, when they're retired, if I knew then what I know now. But you can't. That's a really, really hard thing to do. And with Garcia, who is, like, Derek James is his trainer at the minute, but he's had a few. Has he got an identifiable person?
Has a lawyer.
Right.
Who's his dad a lot, though, I know.
Yeah,
The
dad, he's still involved with the training side of things, the dad. But yeah, he has a lawyer. I don't think he has a quote unquote a manager. A lot of fighters will get to a certain level.
Yeah.
Barry will tell you, we'll just have a lawyer and the promoter. But obviously the promotional situation and what you discussed earlier.
I had a lawyer, but not for boxing.
What you discussed earlier, Andy, about pulling the fight. I mean, my understanding of the situation is that Golden Boy are the people who have the power to pull the fight. And, you know, we've seen in the last couple of years a lack of harmony, should we say, in some instances between Golden Boy and Ryan Garcia. And look, I'm quite sure that, you know, if you manage to catch Ryan in a butterfly net and ask him, do you want to fight? I'm sure the answer is yes, absolutely. He's going to fight. He's going to knock out Devin Haney. He's going to get married to a porn star in a ring afterwards, all of that good stuff. DAZN, pay-per-view, be there or be square. But as we know, as we've discussed on various different fights and various different situations, admittedly I don't think as extreme as this, doesn't fight, no one gets paid, him included, and he'll be the first person who wants to fight. And, you know, if the fighter wants to fight, and okay, if he can make the weight, which is another thing, you know, we've seen him move the weight. When he boxed Oscar Duarte, he moved the weight at the last minute. You know, he hasn't looked, in my opinion, like a fighter who's in the last week of his hard training. You all know the last week before you taper down, the last couple of weeks, when it's really, really hard. Yeah. It's kind of been doing the old, like, sort of like photos from all the fat people have done it. Photos from a different angle and keeping the thing down and stuff.
It depends who you make with it. If you're waterboard, you know, you'll look healthier to the very end. But so it's waterboarding, water loading. Waterboarding, you look awful. Really bad. Like.
But I mean, it is
not recommended to make weight in any shape or form.
Some of the things that we mentioned before we got started here, and people will probably realise it. If the fight's still on when this goes out, that he was last night on a Twitter space until God knows what time. I saw his last tweet at 5:00 in the morning, New York time. And he was on Twitter space last night with a porn star, like as in with him, not another person in the thing. She was physically with him. I know that at the weekend he was in Las Vegas. So he went to Vegas for, was it UFC or whatever in Vegas? Because I know somebody was in Vegas who works with the UFC, said that they saw Ryan Garcia running past him.
She's keeping fit.
Keeping fit. The 5-hour flight the week before, maybe not the smartest thing to do, but anyway, I'm sure he knows. But it is so strange because we've seen like some pretty harrowing things from his social media, and where he's in tears, where he's clearly inebriated. Where, like, if he's an actor, then he should just leave the
that kidnap thing was weird.
Yeah, all of, and like, it's difficult because it's not, and you know, it's not a therapy session, and we're not, you know, psychoanalysts and what have you, but exhibiting some pretty delusional thoughts if we believes in what he's saying, and you know, it's not the actions of somebody who you would think is very well adjusted in time for a fight against somebody like a Devin Haney. I think we spoke about this when the fight was announced. I think Gervonta Davis is a better fighter than Devin Haney, but I think with everything that you can see going around with Ryan Garcia and has been going around with him for the last couple of months, and the fact that Haney is so mature, is so settled, is so kind of resolute in what he wants and how he's going to do it, in many ways, Andy, I think this is a harder fight for Ryan Garcia.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Haney is the worst possible person to be going in against when you're exhibiting all the kinds of signs that Garcia is, because I think Haney will look at that and just think, okay, I'm not going to take anything for granted. He's not that bloke. He's not going to get complacent. I think he's going to look at him and just think, I'm going to eviscerate you. And that'll be the last we see of you.
Yeah. I think Haney got no fuck what he's doing. Don't care what he's doing. It's irrelevant. This is what I'm doing. I'm training. I'm doing that. I'm getting ready. I'll just be ready. And I don't care if he's at his best or not at his best. It's irrelevant. I'll just do my job. And I think he's a massive favourite if Ryan Garcia is having the best camp of his life, and like he's still a massive underdog, isn't he? So you know, it's and maybe he's building up, getting all the excuses ready now I got beat because...
Oh, I mean, he's got the list as long as your arm, hasn't he? We were talking about it on the previous pod, weren't we? And people do it in all walks of life. You know, they'll opt out by giving themselves plenty of reasons, excuses why they might fail before the event. It's a really, really common human thing to do. I'll be interested to see what happens during the week, because I feel like Haney might go for Garcia a bit in a really disdainful kind of way. You know, what on earth are you? You know, turning up for an event like this,
we saw,
behaving the way you behave. Come on.
We saw, didn't we, in the build-up when Garcia turned up, which I loved, by the way, for all of the mad stuff he did when he turned up on the horse. That was funny. That was great. Just trotting down. I was like, "What are you doing, Ryan?" He's like, "What do you mean? Like, I'm here."
Why are you not on the horse? What do you mean? Why am I on the horse? Why are you not on the horse?
But you saw that side of Haney, and obviously, it's difficult, isn't it? Because I don't know if you guys have watched I know you certainly make a point of trying not to watch them sometimes, but I watched bits of the DAZN face-off where they had each other.
Stuff.
There he goes. But it struck me at the time as two friends, really. It did strike me as two guys who have known each other since they were kids, and like there was some nice moments in there. And then they also, but I'm also going to knock you out, and I hate you, and your dad's a pimp, like all of that stuff. But like you could tell that there was some good feeling. But since then, it has kind of got a little bit nastier and a little bit more personal, and Garcia's been a little bit more unhinged. And I agree with you, Andy. I do think that Haney might look at Garcia this week and really stick it on him. When they had the face-offs and the actual face-offs, he said it stinks of alcohol.
He'll feel like he's fragile, won't he? With good reason, because he's displaying fragilities left, right and centre. What
does Haney have to do in this fight, Barry? Does he go out there? Does he have a look? Because you would think that, from my perspective, the early rounds is where he's going to have to be at his most wary.
Haney just to go do Haney things. Haney's strength is his discipline. I think he just does the fundamentals supremely well. Works beyond the jab always. Listen, I still think Lomachenko beat him, but even in that fight he was disciplined, tried to keep it long, tried to throw the 1-2 down the line. He's very neat with what he does, but he'll jab. And because he got such a long reach, and he steps in with it as well, so there's a bit of weight on the shot. He can vary it when he wants to, and he got a bit of pop to his punch. I think now as well, with a bit more weight, he can eat. I think it's even more. He got more strength again. But he's a good mover. He's a good thinker, and he won't let the crowd influence his performance, which is not great. Maybe for a pay-per-view, potentially, but he'll just wait for Garcia to make a mistake. No, Garcia is extremely fast, crazy speed, and he has power, but because of the speed. And he's a guy who does lots of things wrong. He doesn't bend his legs. How he generates any power, I don't know. He just never bends his legs. His legs are like that. The weirdest thing ever. I don't know where the power comes from. Your legs. All punches, even when you don't see it, when you slow it down, you'll see they just bend or turn into the shot. All it is upper body. All his back. I'll have a look. His back must be huge. He just whips into the shots. But again, the legs never bend. But he can jump into distance really quick, and he can hurt you in any shot. But you got to get inside that long reach. And Haney's very good. He's for the jab. He can parry you off with the punches as well. He'll just jab him, and I don't think it'll be necessarily him dancing around the ring all the time. I think he'll plant himself in the centre ring, Haney, and make Garcia have to punch from outside. Because if Garcia think I'll take the centre ring, I'm the bigger puncher in here, and I'm going to knock you out, and he'll try, but Haney will get there first in the centre of the ring and go pop, pop, pop straight away. And then if he doesn't hit, which I think he will hit with every punch he throws, Garcia's got to commit to himself too far out there, and he's got to jump in too far out. You've got to get that judgment of distance right. He's not like Lomachenko, who can, once he gets in, can move around a semicircle better than any fighter maybe that's ever lived. Like he can't do that, Garcia. He will have to come in and out. And I just don't see it. I can't see it. Unless he knocks Haney out with just a wicked whipping left hook, I can't see how he makes a dent in him. So it could be a really boring fight with Haney just going boom, 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 and Garcia just feeling sorry for himself and not being able to get anywhere. Every time he makes a move, he gets crack, and just because those jabs are not touching punches, he'll feel them. Or Haney might think he might just do that for a round or two, and then when he sees Garcia slump, then starts going bam, 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 and then starts putting pressure on him. That's what I hope we see. I want to see the Haney light it up.
I think that's I think that's what we will see. I think that's what we will see. Yeah. I think he'll stop him.
If you're Devin Haney,
how many good rounds has Garcia got in him?
Yeah, and that's it. And that's. I mean, it's never.
I mean, he's young. He's always lived a life and stayed fit, hasn't he? You'd think until kind of recently. And athletes can be absolutely incredible in terms of what they're able to pull out of the bag when they're still of a certain age. But you have to train hard to be able to compete at that level, don't you?
But just take that out of the equation. Take his life. Just presume he's trained hard and all this is a facade. Even if this never happened, he just trained hard, mentally, physically, he's perfect. Just stylistically, what he has and what we've seen he has compared to what we've seen the other guy has. Stylistically, it doesn't match up well for him anyway. I mean, the Gervonta Davis fight, as we all agree, I think matched it better for him, even though he couldn't see how he could win that either. That matched it a bit better for him, just for the sheer size alone. But that's it's just nothing what he does as well compared to what Haney does well, except for the power and speed factor.
Yeah,
nothing bodes well for him.
That's the only thing, really, isn't it? Because we have seen Haney hit, and he got bobbled by Jorge Linares, so an explosive puncher. Obviously, more of a combination puncher than Ryan Garcia. Is more of a single shot, like that whippy left hook, or decent enough right hand, but it's not on the same level as the left hook.
But better footwork though. He slides into the distance, so he like with a Linares, when he throws that jab, he'll slide in with it. So he can rack.
And it's also like the third or fourth shot in that combination, wasn't it?
Yeah, but if his feet don't move, he can't do it. I think Garcia jumps in and throws, or throws from here. He can't move his feet as he's throwing. Most people can't. Linares, the beauty of Linares is he has that smoothness that he rolls onto every shot. But he's sliding forward as he's throwing it because he's turning properly, so the momentum's bringing him forward. Garcia can't do that, so he won't even have the luxury of that. And also, this is not a lightweight. I mean, Linares was a featherweight really, but I mean, this is not the lightweight Haney. This is not a younger Haney. This is a more of a man Haney, who's now at the weight where he's more comfortable, you would feel. Coming off arguably his best performance after having arguably his first loss. Let's not forget that. Even though he won the fight against Lomachenko, I thought he lost. But it doesn't deter how good a fight he was, because he still, if he did lose against Lomachenko, which I thought he did, but he got the win, it was still a really close fight.
It was a close fight, and he's boxing an all-time great.
So if you're having a close fight against Lomachenko, you're a fucking good fighter. Yeah. You're a special fighter, because I don't care if Lomachenko's 75 years of age, his ability, if you can have a close fight with him, win, lose or whatever, you're a special talent.
And it's also that experience in the bank as well. I think obviously Lomachenko was the highest profile fight, and whether or not it was the best win, whether you gave it to him or not. I mean, the Prograis win was obviously very impressive. The way that he neutralised Kambosos twice was impressive in its own way. These are all these are all little boxes that you tick with Haney. Okay, he got hurt by Linares. What happened? Okay, he got through that. Yeah, no worries. Okay, he's got to travel to be the challenger. And I mean, we all know as kind of Brits over here, the Aussies. It's not that's not a quiet crowd who are going to welcome you over there.
Because they don't get big fights over there very often. So when they get it, they'll turn up.
Yeah.
And also, I was more impressed with the second win. And the reason why, because going over there is massive, of course. Kambosos comes off his best win. The win he has was amazing. But but you don't going over there again and still showing the same discipline. You think I beat him once, now this time I'm going to knock him out. No, he didn't try and better his. It was a better performance, but he didn't try and better his previous performance. He just went the discipline, the maturity. I know how to beat him, and that's what I'm going to do again. I'm not going to deter. And he boxed the same way.
And his dad had problems getting in
the first one. Yeah, it was Ben Davison and his dad weren't able to. So he had Yoel Judah in the corner for the first fight, and I think the dad was able to get over for the second fight. But yeah, again, it's that maturity. He's shown it. Box Lomachenko, great fight, a massive fight on ESPN, handled the occasion well. Regis Prograis went up to 140 and went for a good champion. The Zarila fight is what it is. But Prograis at that point only lost to Josh Taylor and was a very, very good fight, and he went up and did a real number on him.
Dropped him twice, wasn't he?
Once, but he hurt him throughout the fight. And if you're in the Haney camp, you are looking at those things. You're ticking all of those boxes off. Like, how many boxes has Garcia ticked? He ticked one against Luke Campbell, but it almost feels like we're talking about a totally different fighter, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I do feel with Haney as well, like the way he kind of not just responded to the Lomachenko fight in terms of his next performance in the ring, but he knew that there were loads of people saying that he didn't win the fight, but he never really seemed to let that get to him. He just kind of accepted it as the game we're in. I remember he came into Sky actually when he was with Matchroom to do the podcast, and they stitched me up slightly because they asked me for some lightweight rankings, and at that point I had him, I don't know where I had him, but this is like 4 or 5 years ago, and I had him behind a load of fighters he clearly thought that he was better than, and who I actually thought that he was better than, but who had done more than him. And he looked at them and he didn't really say a lot, and then he just said to me, so how do you do these? Do you do it on who you think would beat who, or do you do it on body of work? And I said, no, I'd do it on body of work. And he just went, okay. You know, he didn't take it. He didn't take it personally. He was just like, all right, well, whatever.
Oh, that's a gift. In this sport, that's a gift.
Ben Whittaker would have been boop on the top of the head to Andy.
If I show you my private messages after commentary, that's a gift.
We don't want to see that.
That's a gift, man.
We don't want to see Barry's DMs. But anyway, it's so difficult to put the elephant in the room. Yeah, but almost
crazy, isn't it? I mean, without all this drama, I'd be looking forward to it anyway, because
I would have been looking forward to it more without. Does that make it?
Yeah. Because Garcia's an exciting fighter.
Are you that?
Yeah, if there was,
it kind of adds a different element to it. I'm not sure it's an element that I'm particularly comfortable with.
It's a bit too kind of circusy, a bit too kind of, you know, what are we going to get? Are we going to see something absolutely crazy in a bad way?
Yeah,
you see someone
having an Oliver McCall moment, or like,
that's what I mean.
Or he does something stupid in the ring, gets disqualified.
Yeah,
like
and those are not those are things that, based on what we've seen from him, that could happen. He may know that it's not going to happen, but it's just a bit too much. And it's a New York fight week as well, you know, a big New York fight week, and they don't come along as often now as they used to.
Because they wouldn't send me. I asked to go, and they went, no chance. They just laughed. Like, he didn't laugh on the text, but I could feel it. Like the guy from the zone, he said, "Nah, we don't need you." And then, so I text back, "We'll be fucking pisses down then." Yeah, no, but I think he's a good fighter, Garcia. Forget about all the crap around it. Just him himself. He's a good fighter to watch because he got loads of power, and I quite enjoyed his career.
He's vulnerable.
Yeah, so all those things they'll really adhere to, like, you know, a good watch. But I think he's a guy who on paper and practicality, what we've seen, just has too much for him in any locker except for power. But he carries enough power to hurt you. So I just can't see how he just doesn't dominate and stop him, to be fair. I don't. I think in Haney we got a real talent. He's not an established talent, clearly. But I mean, a guy who can go up to welterweight, like, now.
Yeah.
I think.
But it's what we said on the other podcast.
Him and Ennis is the next fight.
That's what they're talking about, but I think Ennis will be at 54.
Is that what they're talking about?
Well, there's now Ennis is signed with Matchroom, and obviously there's brilliant signing. I can't remember what I was about to say there. I was about to say something and I forgot. Mondays are always pretty bad. That was it. Anyway,
so talent, I said.
Talent, Haney, whatever. Anyway, Mondays are always bad. Anyway, Andy, so going to come to you. We've both mentioned, or we've all mentioned, the Ryan Garcia win over Luke Campbell. Do you think he has gone backwards since then? Do you think he's the same fighter that we saw? Because I think after that fight, because a lot of these, not all of them, but a lot of these conversations about Ryan Garcia's dedication, you know, the deficiencies in his technique and all that stuff, that all was kind of being talked about really his whole career, and it was always going to be what happens when he meets this guy, what happens when he gets to that level. And then after the Luke Campbell win, I think everyone was very excited and everyone had good reason to be excited about him, but he hasn't quite kicked on and become the fighter that we thought he could be.
I think that's fair. I thought the win against Campbell was massively impressive, because I fancy Luke Campbell quite heavily going into that fight. I know that he was I know that he was away from home and everything, but he was tried and tested, and that fight against Linares, which he very, very nearly won, and then Lomachenko, which was wide on the cards, but you know, he hung with a a Hall of Famer. We all know that's where Lomachenko is headed, and I felt like he would find Garcia out, that he was capable of doing that, and he put him down early, and Garcia just sprang up. It's like he bounced back up off the canvas and then beat him. And I remember looking at that thinking, oh, okay. I was maybe a bit sceptical because of the whole profile thing and all the rest of it. I think we all can be a little bit suspicious of that at times. But then when I saw, because you just want to see what they can do in the ring. But then when we saw what he did to Campbell, I thought, oh, right, okay. Because Campbell wasn't somebody you could say was shop-worn or obviously over the hill at that stage. He'd had a couple of defeats, but he'd got to a high level in a relatively short space of time as a pro in terms of number of fights. So I felt like that was a really meaningful win. And I don't really feel like he's kicked on necessarily in the way that he could have since then.
And he's on his second trainer since then as well. At least
that doesn't help.
That's never a good sign. It's not. And sometimes things like that are about money, but I reckon that's more to do with him wanting to be in charge of his own training schedule, which you're the boss. People forget that the trainer works for you. Manager works for you. People think the manager. You ask your manager, he works for you, really.
No, the fighter pays them, doesn't he?
Yeah, he works for you. You should be saying, whoa, manager, don't tell me. I'll tell you, but you don't. Well, maybe it does nowadays. But when you're in the gym, you're training, like I've said this already, your trainer should be your god. He's in charge of you. He owns your life for that period of time. Otherwise, it doesn't work unless you're an exceptional talent who means your grandmother could train you. You know what I mean? It's like you need that. You need that to be in charge. I know, because you need to be told what to do, when to do it. Because in the ring, in that minute, which ends up becoming 40 seconds, 35 seconds really, they got to tell you stuff. That's their job. They're all the training, but they have to tell you stuff. Because you might be thinking, but there might be things you don't see. Or you might not be able to think on your feet, so they need to tell you instructions. They may be, so you've got to believe them. And so, but you need to get that bond in the gym by being subservient to them almost. You have to be that way. Because that's just like as an amateur. We're all used to that. We're all soldiers. That's what we are. Boxers, we're all soldiers out there. The generals are the promoters. Sit there drinking tea, going, sitting on them to get killed. no, if it is, that's how it works. Yeah. You got to look at it that way. You know what I mean? And that's how it is. So you need. So when you're swapping because you don't like what someone's telling you, it might not. Just because you don't like what someone's telling you, I don't know why that might not be the way. I don't know. I'm just talking out, like just trying to guess what usually happens when boxers are constantly leaving trainers. Is that they don't like what they're hearing. It might not be technically. It might just be, no, he wants me to go and do 5 miles, and I'm not doing that shit. I'd rather train at 10 o'clock. They want me training at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I understand that. You might have you might have a life. You might not work into your life. He earns more money doing the other stuff, possibly the Instagram stuff. I don't know, but and good luck to you. Do whatever makes you more money. But I mean, if you want to be a successful boxer, then you got to do what you're told. I drag that on, but just do what you're told. It's very simple, though, isn't it? It's very simple.
Eubank Jr. is quite a good example of that, isn't he? In recent times, it's not like he wasn't successful moving around the place, because he has been, obviously. But a story I heard, which I'm sure you did too, when he teamed up with Bomac and that team, was that he likes to train in the afternoon, and they were just said, no, we train in the morning, 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
that's how this is going to be. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine, but not with us.
Yeah.
So and that was it. And he said, for the first time in my life, I'm training in the morning, because that wasn't, we don't really need you, Chris. Like, we like you and we think this could work, but we're not, like, you don't decide what happens in here. We do. And
you can't imagine that. I mean, obviously, Chris has worked with some very, very good trainers. It's not to say that it's across the board, but you can't imagine it
they might just give them a bit more latitude.
Yeah, going that way if it was in the UK.
No, but for him, it's hard to change a pattern. Because like I trained in the evenings all my career, so like you asked me to train in the morning, I could do it and I would do it, but I mean that would have been difficult. What I couldn't do is that 3 times a day thing. People they started doing that. I couldn't do that. My body was so used to doing that in the evening that doing that 3 times, like running in the morning, training at dinner time, and then train there. Like you're doing less in each session, But the rest wasn't. My body was used to be having that rest. And I really struggled with it, so I didn't do it. But when I was in the gym, my trainer told me I did it. I didn't know what I was good on the job. I didn't know what I was going to do, and he just tell me you're doing that. And I don't want to go spar. I don't want to fucking do 10 minutes on the back. I don't want to go. I just don't want to do it. But you do it. Because in a fight, you'll do stuff you don't want to do. Running in the morning is the worst thing for you, for your body. Fucking pick up injuries, it's tired. It's like you're tired, rain, the cold, you get fucking flu, every fucking thing. But mentally, it's the toughest thing because you're doing something you don't want to do. Who wants to get up at 5 o'clock in the rain, in the dark, in the rain, when you've got a supermodel like I used to have on regular basis, right? Pictures of supermodels next to me. But like, no, what I mean is, but you do it and it toughens you up because in a fight you've got to do stuff you don't want to fucking do, and it's not the same because that's harder. But if you're building towards it. You might be able to do it anyway, but you don't know. So if you want to have a little test. Maybe you don't. Maybe you go, staying in bed. Nah, fuck, I'll run later. Quitting on your stool, quitting in fights. Once you do it, once boxers say, well, once he's quit, that's it, that's in him. It's not always the case, but you've done it, so you know the route.
You're conditioning yourself.
Yeah.
Like
if you don't know the route out, you only know the route fucking through the door in your training schedule, then you're more likely, hopefully, to take that route that gets you through success, which is usually the most difficult, hardest route to go through. The fights like that. Fucking the other guy you work with, Macklin, that Jamie Moore fight. To go back to that, 'cause it was one of the greatest British title fights we've had. Like the shit he went through there, but that he never quit. Do you know what I mean? He got beat. Was fair enough. But then his next time he's in that situation that hard is horrible. Because he trains that way, by the way, I would imagine. Well, definitely he would have. But because he had that fight, and he wouldn't quit. The next time he's in a hard fight, he didn't think, fuck this. He thought, fuck this.
Yeah.
But he actually, fuck this. But knew what he could do, what he had to do, because he's been there, he's done it. So switching trainers all the time because it doesn't suit your narrative is not always a good thing. That might not be the case when we're talking on my back end, but it's never a good sign swapping trainers, especially as early in your career and for a young man.
Yeah, particularly when you factor in some of the other distractions that he's had. Andy, we spoke in our 2024 preview, and Ryan Garcia's name was mentioned as fighter to see something from this year. Obviously now has a pretty big opportunity to do that. We're all, I think, picking Devin Haney to win. It's going to be very interesting to come down to predictions if that's not the case. But, playing devil's advocate, if Ryan Garcia uncorks that left hook and down goes Haney, where does that put Ryan Garcia in the sport?
He knocks him out.
Knocks him out all over. 3rd round knockout. Ryan Garcia.
Yeah,
he's been lifted up on the shoulders of all the OnlyFans girls around him.
That would be absolutely incredible, and it's not impossible. I feel like if you beat somebody, then it's not the case that you then appropriate all of their achievements.
Beating Jesse James doesn't make you Jesse James.
There you go. But at the same time, it's still a massively meaningful win. And you have to give whoever manages to get it the full credit for it. You look at Kambosos beating Teofimo Lopez, and that was just this monumental, huge win that I think you have to remind yourself how big it was, because it came off the back of Lopez beating Lomachenko, which at the time seemed borderline impossible.
Yeah, no right beating him, did he?
No, but that doesn't, because Kambosos beat Lopez, who beat Lomachenko, that doesn't mean that Kambosos then collects all of their trophies and puts them in his cabinet. It's not like that, but at the same time, it would just be a cataclysmic upset and massive win. And you would have to, well, number one, you have to put him ahead of him in the rankings because he's just beaten him. Like, it doesn't make any sense to do anything other than that. So in the super lightweight division, I mean, who's ranked where? Teofimo Lopez, I would say, the way I do it, would have to be top, because he beat Josh Taylor, who was an undisputed champion. Yeah. But it would just catapult him right up to the top of the division, or the very top echelon of the division.
He's the star of the division, isn't he? I mean, because of his profile.
He'd be right up there with biggest stars in the sport if he beats Haney this weekend.
Because of his profile, he's a bigger star than Haney.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I mean, by all accounts, if you believe kind of what's been discussed, he's getting the lion's share of the purse. He's the star fighter.
It's a rematch clause. I'm guessing Haney will have a rematch clause.
You would
they
think
both?
so,
I don't know.
You're the A side because you're commercial value, and if that's the way it works, that's what you get getting more money. Listen, Haney be happy because he's getting more money because he's boxing a guy who has a bigger profile. That's how it works. Not going to get as much as that, but you get more than you get if you're boxing someone else. There you go. Maybe a harder fight. But it makes him, he's a superstar.
Yeah, you're getting paid more to box Ryan Garcia than he would Sabriel Matias, and I don't know which
exactly.
one.
I mean, if you're Haney, you may well look at this fight and just think, like, this is incredible. I cannot quite believe that I'm going to get paid what I'm going to get paid to box somebody who actually, in real terms, shouldn't really be getting a fight with me.
He sort of said that as well, hasn't he? It's sort
exactly
of the
right.
It's the ironic thing he's been saying a lot more recently about, like, Garcia shouldn't be in the ring with me. He's a C fighter. He's this, that, and the other. Sort of goes against. I think it was Bob Arum who says, like, you talk. I think either Arum or De La Hoya, and it was during when he said, you talk up the bad ones and talk down the good ones. But I don't think he's doing that this time. I think he actually believes that, and you've got a pay-per-view to sell, Devin. It seems as though Devin Haney does think that, but on the flip side to that, he doesn't strike me as the type of guy who will allow that to impinge on his thinking or how he's going to approach the fight at all.
I don't think who he fights affects how he trains. I think he works on himself solely, again, because of the grounding he's had. So it's just like, as long as you're fit, he's a man. Listen, he's got to have that self-belief. Look at the wins he's had and where he's boxed and all the rest of it. And so he just go, as long as I'm get myself 100% right, no matter who I'm fighting, because he boxes the same way all the time, because it's massively effective. He'll just little bits, but I mean, his ability is what he does is what's made him what it is. That patience and discipline and working behind the jab and going through the basics, very, very perfect, and being can be a tad boring at times, but if he has the right dance partner, he's in really good fights. So he'll just work on him. If I just get myself 100%, then no man can beat me. That's the way you look at it. And I don't worry about this, like, that's just not massively change he's not going to reinvent himself to box anyone else or worry about what they do. He's just going to go, well, I know what I'm up against, and he's good, but I'll worry about this. And then I'll be aware if he jumps in with a hook. You got to be looking at this fight though in his mind, thinking, except for the surprise attack, which you can, like, I can't see you hitting with a punch. You've got to be thinking that somewhere.
Both Haney and, I mean, we've spoken about this on various instances in the past where Haney and Stevenson, both of which kind of spent a lot of their, maybe not a lot, but certainly spent time around Mayweather, and particularly Haney, obviously being Vegas as well. They're very good at taking away your strength first. They take away your strength first, and they basically deal with whatever's left, if there is anything left. And you can sort of see Haney thinking, okay, well, I'll move to my left, I'll move away from the left hook, and then I'll take it from there, really. And it's on Garcia to adjust to that, and he hasn't really shown in a fight. We always talk about it, and your mate, the Southpaw fellow, won a few fights, about adjusting in a fight. Okay, if somebody does that and somebody takes away your big honey punch, then what do you do? And he hasn't shown that, has he? He's not been in a position, Garcia, to show the ability to change a fight in the fight.
He hasn't shown any footwork, has he? I think, really. So I think that's you just think, every time he moves, I'm going to go pop with the jab. Step in with it, because he got such long levers as well. Haney, he'll go bam with the jab and then step back out with it. So you got the ability to step in, make you feel the weight, step out, so there's nothing you can aim for. He won't even give you a target to hit. Nothing you can aim for. So like, you've got to have really fast feet, like Lomachenko, the closer distance, and then be able to move on get the angle as well to go again. And I think if Garcia tries to rush him, he has to square his feet up, which he does. If he does that, Haney has the ability to punch on the move. By the way, he can punch when he's moving back, and he got those long arms. He whips that uppercut through the middle. It's just like I just don't see how it ends well. I think he'll just be like, but he'll take all your stuff away from you by forcing you to make a mistake. Pam, pam, pam. Okay, new pick. Don't rush it. I'll find the gap. There'll be a gap, and he doesn't give you anything. Because he won't be too greedy. I think he's learned that now. He'll do all this. He won't do any of this now. But but I think he's learned that now, that I won't be greedy. I think the discipline's the key for him, because he won't be greedy. He'll just go bam, 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 and force you to force the fight, because you're not having no success. And you think, I gotta have success. And an experienced fighter will go, I'll try this or try that, but I won't over try it. But I think Garcia will try too hard because he thinks I got power. And I think he'll overreach for something, or try and jump in too quick, or try and rush him too much, and just be. And Haney is physically strong and ties you up really well. So if you do get close, I think he can tie him up and spin him. I just don't see any way that he can make an effect. He just got to luckily, hopefully, land with that big punch. Not luckily, because you're trying to throw it, so luck is. But I mean, I think we will see like a really dominant one-sided fight.
Is Devin Haney on a bit of a hiding to nothing here? I mean, obviously, however many millions he's getting paid, I'm sure he's not.
Yeah, I think so.
But if he wins the fight, he's supposed to win because Ryan Garcia, even take out all of the stuff over the last couple of months, which obviously you can't. Got beat by Gervonta Davis. He's never beat. Luke Campbell fight was X amount of years ago. But then you factor in all of that, he's really supposed to win this fight. And like even in the build-up to the Gervonta Davis Ryan Garcia fight, there was enough intrigue around. But Garcia's got that hook and he's got this and he's got that. That Davis still got credit for beating him.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like Haney is going to get that same credit this time around. And I think if he loses the fight as well. Yeah, there's that, and then there's all of the rest of it.
I know what you mean, but at the same time, I understand exactly what you're saying, and to an extent you're right. But that it's just so interesting, isn't it? That it taps into what I was saying about Haney a few minutes ago. It's so interesting that, yes, on paper, Garcia hasn't done anything to earn a fight with Devin Haney yet. No one's criticising this fight, really, are they?
No, it's true.
Haney's not been given any criticism for, like, why are you fighting this guy? He hasn't earned his shot. You just, you should be doing this or you should be doing that. Everybody's fine with this, which, again, might be something Haney's looking at and just thinking this is the biggest touch of all time.
But he is not hiding anything. In that respect, because he's not going to get massive praise for beating him. We might praise his performance, though. If he's like totally if he's just doesn't take a shot and just peppers him with jabs and knocks him out in 5 rounds, then we just go, yeah, that was brilliant. That was really good. That was really good performance. But yeah, those people will, and we'll probably say a little bit, but other people will go, yeah, but against who though? All of a sudden you go, you can do that against any fighter, pick holes in anything, can you? But it is true because he's not. But he's just coming off a good win, though. He just beat Regis Prograis. So let's give him credit for that. He's I just think, and it puts us one step closer to him boxing. Maybe see if him or Lopez or another big name. Who knows what's on the corner now? Who knows? Terence Crawford might stay at welterweight. Don't see that, but just never know. You just never know. In this world now, crazy world of boxing now. Saudi comes calling, guys, you're Terence Crawford. People I've been reading about, he wants to box in Saudi because he wants to get stupid money. Like 40 odd million, 25 million is not stupid money to him anymore. What I mean?
Won't get out of bed for that nowadays.
Yeah, I know, it's mad, isn't it? But but people pick holes in every performance. Look at the way Crawford dominated Errol Spence. It was like a masterclass, really, wasn't it? It was a real. He was a favourite. But that was still a close fight to call on paper, really. I fancied Crawford big, but I mean only because I think he's special. But he dominates. No one thought he'd do that to Spence. But now people are going, Spence, since the accident, which is all relevant. But they start going, was it really that good? Spence was awful, and they can't make the weight. And all these things might be true, but people have got to pick holes in it rather than just be a perfect performance. Which is what it was, and if he dominates Garcia and stops him in a few rounds, then that's a really good performance against anybody. But against a guy who has danger, there's a jeopardy attached because he has power. He clearly has power, and he has very fast, and he's extremely fast. He's just not good enough to beat Devin Haney, and he's not. That's the truth, and he's not one of the top 5, 6, 7, or 8 in the division. I wouldn't say either. So.
It's going to make prediction time real interesting.
Yeah, I think. Well, I'm not a fan of it. You should have an app where you don't have to talk about it so much.
Well, it seems as though we're kind of. It's like I left like a period of time. I was like, we'll do a Haney Garcia preview, and we're going to do sort of allocated an hour and a half.
I'm looking forward to it, though.
I'm really looking forward to it.
I wanted to go. I did actually.
It is difficult to kind of.
It got like a real side, like a real Hollywood feel about it, haven't it?
Yeah. In a fact that it doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel like it doesn't. But you kind of think about all of these things, and then you get down to it, and it kind of feels a little bit like when we did the Wilder Fury 3 preview, where it was like, okay, well, you know, Fury battered him in the second fight, so he should win, but Wilder can punch. And then we just did that for an hour, really. It's sort of this, where it's like Devin Haney's clearly, it does still have the intrigue, but Devin Haney's clearly a sizable favourite. There are an abundance of reasons why you can pick Haney to win, and there's only really one that you can pick Garcia for. It's if he catches him with the left hook.
He's got to somehow try and make the jab of Haney redundant. There you go, piece of piss.
Yeah, he's got one of the best jabs in the sport.
One of the most effective jab. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
how does he do that?
I don't know. Ask Lomachenko. And I think that you got to almost you either got to stunt it by blocking it as you come forward, which you're not going to, because he can jab stepping forward, but also because he's so long of the reach, he can jab with that step with the back and step with the back foot. So he almost like jabs. I'm going to go away from the microphone now, like this, but it still has the length on it. So it's like he lets you walk onto the shot. And then he's a way to move away, so it's very difficult to close that gap. So you got to come in, and then you got to change the angle quick and come in again. So Lomachenko could do that because he can stutter step with his feet like that, almost, not quite like that. But most people don't want to do that because that's fucking stupid to do that, because you cross over your feet and get knocked out. And when you never bend your legs like Garcia, how are you going to do that? So you have got to try and walk him down. Be brave enough to block. Or be clever enough to block, and try and stunt it a little bit. So if you can take the jab, you walk it, you take it, and you push it back a little bit and get a little bit closer, if you can. Or ideally, when you're coming forward, you bend your legs and you slide in, so you swoop in. So when you come back up, you're a little bit closer. But all the time thinking, giving him something to think about, and trying to close the gap as he's moving round. He's not going to do that, is he? I mean, it's hard to do that anyway. If you have got good footwork and you have got good balance and you do change the height, it's difficult to do that anyway. Against a guy who has a great jab and good feet and crazy long reach. You got a lot. Yeah, actually, his arm's probably not that long. His shoulder's just that long, isn't he?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, but
it's a big old boy.
But yeah, that's it. You know, you get like swoop in every time you throw a shot. You swoop in underneath it, and then you got to try and catch it as well. You know, just make him so as he feels it, you can push him with it, boom, and walk in. I just don't see it. But you know, I don't know. Like Kambosos is a better boxer than Garcia. Again, not a guy who's a brilliant boxer.
Doesn't have the kind of the intangibles, the speed and the power. But
he couldn't break down the jab. He couldn't get in. He couldn't get inside it. You know. So and he has better foot, faster feet. I mean, better feet. Not great feet, but better feet than Garcia. I think Garcia's feet are awful. But though we did say, I mean, against Fonferi, he closed the gap really good. But he's a super featherweight, so you know so you could bully him a little bit more. Fortune, yeah.
Fonfara was the light heavyweight, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he was a great fighter.
Yeah, you wouldn't beat Fonfara.
He
had some wars, and even
Cleverly was an amazing. He knocked out Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. as well. At the time where that was still like something to do as well. Like that was still like a
good segue to this fight, isn't it? From Chavez Chavez Jr. and Ryan Garcia.
yeah. I mean that would be an interesting. I could do that on Triller. That's a Triller fight, isn't it? Chavez Jr. against Ryan Garcia. Okay, I think we're probably there. We probably could have wrapped this up after 5 minutes, but thanks very much if you have managed to stay until the end. We are going to do predictions now. We can never really get a signal in here, so I'm going to pretend to do it on the Boxing News app. I'm not really doing it.
I'll pretend to do it on my app.
But please download it anyway, because when we clip it up on socials, it will look like we're using the app. Anyway, so we're going to come to Andy first. Andy, we're just going to do the main event this week because the undercard's still not on BoxRec, which is always a great sign. For a big pay-per-view fight.
I noticed that.
Yeah, it's always good. But anyway, we'll ignore that. Fight's definitely happening. Right. Just on that, so we've been trying to speak to Ryan Garcia for the last week or so for Boxing News magazine. And I actually I was trying to chase. I sat in a fucking Zoom waiting room, and then we got he's not coming basically last week. And I remember sort of followed up with the PR, and I said, so is this Ryan Garcia thing happening or what? As in like the interview, because it was supposed to happen. It's supposed to happen this evening. And they went, well, mate, I hope so. We're all travelling over there now, and just And I was thinking, like, no, I meant the interview, not the fight. Like Jesus Christ, that's
God. Quite illuminating.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. So
that is quite telling.
So yeah, to say that everybody's everybody's nice and calm and serene with regards to the promotion of the fight. I think his
if don't happen. I mean, you want to if he's not sound of mind, it shouldn't happen. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, of course.
But if he's just messing around and it doesn't happen because he's not, mental health is a very important thing. But I mean, there's mental health and it's just acting like an idiot. And if that's the case, then there's a lot of money's going into this to promote this fight, to make this fight close. A lot of people lose a lot of money there, and you're messing around with people's lives because people get the sack. By the way, when this fight happens, someone's going. If you don't get in the ring, someone gets the blame. It's nothing to do with it. Whether it be from the TV company or the promoter or someone. Fuck, you should have known this. Why did we do this? Why did we hold back? Someone will get sacked from it. So he's messing with people's lives. Yeah? If there's something wrong with him, then fair enough. No one wants to see that.
But then you would expect somebody around him to...
Well,
and that's been... But that's it. That's what we spoke about earlier on.
When you have that team and that bond and all that, no one gives a shit about you.
That's what we spoke about. Yeah, that's what we spoke about very early on here. You know, it's who does it benefit to pull him out of the fight?
Yeah, nobody.
Bunch of people on Twitter. Like, realistically, that's not going to...
he's the only one who can do it.
Yeah. And... You don't want him, mate. He's bang up for it. Look at him.
But
5 o'clock in the morning with a porn star last night.
But he wants the money. Look at the money he's going to earn. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the money is, by the way.
It'll be significant. Maybe he's been talking about, I earned 50 million by so and so. I'll tell you what, mate, the marketing director from DAZN will be straight onto you. I was like, you got 50 million, haven't you? I need 10 back, thanks. Plus 1,500 quid for Andy Purwell's hotel. But anyway, right.
Write that down because we know the budget now.
No. That's New York. Arizona's very, very cheap. Anyway, Andy, gonna come to you first. Your official Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia / Arnold Barboza Jr. preview prediction.
So we're all heading in the same direction with this one, so I feel like we should get quite specific with it. So I will say that he will hang in there for 8 rounds, Ryan Garcia. Nothing will happen to really give him any encouragement. The fire will be getting hotter and hotter. He will go to his stool after 8 rounds and he will stay there.
Barry?
I don't think it goes that long.
That's what I'm wondering.
I think
I don't want to see him take 8 rounds of absolute stick. Obviously, you don't want to see that with anyone. But
I think only the patience in Haney's work makes it go longer. But I think if you're on about him, like, go being a little bit more assertive, if he's that, and he doesn't have to wait for a mistake because he just thinks I can walk him down from behind the shots. I can walk him behind the shots because he just won't see it. I think he does a better job than Gervonta Davis.
That was 7.
Yeah, I reckon. So I'm going to say 5.
Okay.
Devin Haney stoppage inside the first half, Barry.
Mad,
He's living dangerously on these streets.
No, I like that prediction though. Like it's.
I'm not in your league, am I? So it doesn't matter.
Yeah. You are in the league. Don't.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I just feel like Haney might be a little bit more kind of patient, whatever the right word is, but I feel like it might be a case that Garcia calls it a day again, and that could be a tough one to come back from, as understandable as it would always be to me.
Haney will take a risk, will he? But then he might not see it as a risk. He might see it very early. This is not a risk.
Him quantifying what is and what is not a risk, and then
it's all about him. Like exactly what you said. It's all about him. I think how he sees it.
Right. So I'm going to go for Ryan Garcia by 3rd round knockout.
Nice. You said that.
I think.
Clip that up.
Yeah, that's why we delete that one. I've felt like Haney was going to stop him right up until about 5 minutes ago. And I think, I do feel like Garcia will have some success. I think he's got the sort of rashness and the ignorance of youth. He had success against Davis. Okay, admittedly short-lived, but still had success against Davis. And I think he'll have some isolated moments of success against Haney. Enough to make Haney, and not try and put himself in the risk... in the firing line and risk losing the fight. And I think Haney will win a dominant, wide decision.
I think Haney catches him punching, I do. as Garcia comes in, I think Haney just goes right down the middle, bam, knocks him spark out cold.
Because I feel like because I think Garcia got good chin as well. Like he obviously got dropped by Campbell, dropped by Davis. Campbell single shot punches, he's a sharp puncher.
Sharp. Not a puncher, sharp. What's Haney?
Yeah, sharp puncher.
Clean, right on the line, direct, and he'll get hit when he's not because he commit to the shots. Garcia, he won't be looking. He'll be thinking he'll be throwing, he'll be committed, and I think he'll be blind for that second. I think he just catches him coming, poof. Times are lovely.
Provided it's difficult because like it's hard to see somebody who is seemingly living the life that Ryan Garcia has lived over a period of time, doing 12 rounds with an elite fighter. It's really difficult to see that. And if he has been training how he looks like he's been training, I'd probably say Haney gets him out there very, very late. But I don't think he gets him out in 5 rounds. If he gets out in 5 rounds, I think that'd be very, very surprising. Because I think just Garcia is, no matter what, I do think there is a fighting spirit in him. I do feel like that.
No, I don't think he gets stopped and worn down. I think he gets knocked out.
Interesting.
That's the thing. I think it's not trying doing what he does, trying to knock you out. I think he gets caught. I think there's too many flaws in him technically. Not that he's going to be like knackered or beat up and to quit. I don't see that in him.
So that's interesting. So you've gone for he's going to get chinned, and you've gone with he's going to capitulate in some form, or be pulled out in some form. So you've got. I think. Yeah, my prediction for just to be contrarian will be Haney decision. But yeah, if he stops him, I think it'll be late, and I do think it'll be more that type of stoppage than that one.
Just to say, I'm giving my prediction on all this being pretend, not like because of the way he acts.
Yeah, that's it. It's hard.
I'm still thinking he gets knocked out with him at his very, very best. By the way, I'm not saying like he gets knocked out because hasn't been training and he might be not in a good place. I'm assuming he's in the best place possible. He's the best he could possibly be, and the fact that he's going to try and do what he does best and try and knock him out, and he gets caught because of that.
I'm kind of doing it based on. I am factoring in his pre-fight behaviour into my prediction.
Yeah.
Not too much, I don't think. I'm kind of choosing to believe that it's his fitness to fight, mental and physical, is in a better place than his actions might suggest. And I just really, but I don't know whether that's just because I want that to be true, because I do definitely want that to be true. Yeah. But it will have a bearing on the overall outcome, I think.
If he's actually been doing what he says he's been doing, then I lean more towards Barry's prediction. But because he said, didn't he? He was at the press conference. He's like, "Yeah, I smoke weed and what?" He's like, "I drink." It's like somebody who's like stood up at a kid's birthday party and he's like just turned up drunk or whatever, just starts talking and everyone's like looking at him, just like, is this guy actually aware that he's still speaking in front of all of these people? And if he has been behaving the way that he looks like he has been behaving, and no matter how you slice it and dice it, whether he was up doing his road work on Monday of fight week, which would be very, very interesting, at 5 o'clock in the morning, or he was up all night till 5 o'clock in the morning, or whatever he was doing, I don't think Devin Haney was...
Was he running in jeans?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, he was
his shoes on.
The guy in Vegas, he was running past me, he was shouting and screaming to all of these like onlookers, and everybody sort of passing him by. You just think like, yeah, that's not normal, is it? Like, is it? So yeah, it's difficult because you try and separate the fight from the social media reality, if you can even call it that, but it's impossible. How can you? It's just how much of a bearing does that really have, or has that really had on his preparation? Because if it is as extreme as he's made out it is, then he doesn't really have a hope in hell's chance of seeing the final bell, in my opinion.
But he doesn't. He doesn't win the fight. You never know. He could well be wrong.
Imagine he wins the fight.
You can't
Imagine
pick.
He wins.
Oh yeah. Well, listen. When you have the power that he has, there's always a potential for it. Of course, and boxing is the most unpredictable sport, and we covered ourselves there. But I don't. Even if he was all the training went brilliant, and all we had was good reports back about how he is mentally, physically, you still wouldn't pick him. That's the truth. Yeah.
I wouldn't.
It's just practicality.
I wouldn't pick him, but I always felt like of all of those guys in and around the four kings or whatever we called them for 6 months until one of them got beat. I always felt like Haney was the best style matchup for him, because Haney has shown some vulnerabilities at times, and has shown at times, certainly more at lightweight. I know we've only seen him once at 140, but he kind of had that thing at lightweight where after 4 rounds he would dump a little bit and go a bit flat and hold his feet. And if Garcia, and at the time you'd think that Garcia would still be there because Haney not really a puncher at 35, those moments could be the time where he can get to him. But I don't feel that way now necessarily.
I don't think Haney's got dramatically better. What he's done, he's tidied up all his loose edges, I think. You know what I mean? He's got his house in order very, very quickly. So he's a massively improved fighter because of that. I mean, hugely improved fighter because of that, because the errors, he just eradicates the errors.
Getting that mental side down at such a young age, like Andy said earlier, is where you can blend the mental maturity with the physical prime and freshness and all of that. And
that's the challenge. It's really very difficult.
It's just one of the reasons, like, different types of fighters, but Gervonta Davis was a cerebral, intelligent, brilliant fighter when he beat Jose Pedraza. He didn't just beat him because he was physically too strong for him. He outthought him. And, you know, when you look through great fighters, Floyd Mayweather Jr., I mean, it's Joseph Parker, but the name is Floyd Mayweather Jr. You know, he become a world champion young because it was ingrained in him. He had that mental maturity. He'd grown up around boxing, and everybody had told him the pathways to go and the pitfalls to avoid. And you do get that. I mean, I know they're not best friends at the minute, but you do get that feeling about Devin Haney, that he is from that cloth of kind of being well schooled. Doesn't mean being able to throw a jab properly necessarily. It's part of it, of course, but it's the whole package.
Yeah.
And they've done a really good job, I think, over recent years. Because I remember I must have told this story before, when Haney was chasing Lomachenko, he ended up boxing Zar Abdullayev for the interim belt. I remember at the time, like, Bill Haney and some of the things he was talking about Devin Haney then, like he talks about him now. And now you've got a 2-weight world champion who's done this and da-da-da-da. Then you didn't. I remember thinking at the time, like,
I wasn't sold on him.
No, I wasn't. Not
at all. Nowhere near. I thought, another one with a dad who just does all that. You know, it's like, but the kid's good, but he ain't that good. That's I honestly thought.
That's how I thought. I thought he was like a decent all-round, like good all-rounder without any kind of, and he still is that, without any kind of discernible, okay, that's what you're hanging out on with Devin Haney.
When I remember Teofimo, you thought I wouldn't put nowhere near Teofimo.
Yeah. But they've learnt those lessons, and they've had, and part of that, and part of crafting and becoming a good fighter, and Mayweather was the same as well, as you have those hard fights on the way up that you learn from, that you take something from. You don't always look fantastic. Like for every Diego Corrales, there's a Jose Luis Castillo. And you learn from them by ticking the boxes. Haney's done that. He didn't look fantastic against Jojo Diaz, but he won. And he got through the fight, and he went on to the next one. And that's something that Ryan Garcia has yet to do.
As my old trainer say, better to win ugly than to lose pretty. Winning is everything in the end. You always want to look good, but keep winning. And like, if you just keep winning, you'll get there in the end. That's the truth. That's all I have to say. There wasn't much more than that.
Okay. Right, that's all we have time for on today's episode of The Boxing Show. Hopefully we do get there for Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia this weekend in New York. Let us know in the comments who you think will win. And don't forget, you can download the Boxing News app, get your fight predictions in for your chance to climb the leaderboard and win some free prizes. But from us here today at ID Studios, that's all we've got time for. So from me, Rob Tebbutt, from Mr. Barry Jones and Mr. Andy Clark, we'll catch up with you next week.